Welcome Cancer to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 15th of April for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. On the screen now I'm sharing the event chart right at the start of the week. Now last week gave you a great opportunity to set your intentions in terms of how you want to connect to the wider world. Not everybody is focused in terms of their work, but if that is an area that's important to you, there's every chance that over the next 6 months you will move towards something that works well for you. But also as this week begins, Mars is emerging from that dust up that he had last week with Saturn in the part of your chart to do with travel, perhaps linked to work, or a point of principle may have been something that created some tension. Now, as you come into this new week, the moon is in your sign. That's wonderful, all fair and dandy. But it does start the week in a square with Venus, then the North Node, and later on Monday forges a quarter moon with the Sun in Aries. So we've got two cardinal signs competing for attention, if you like, but they represent different energies. The moon is obviously our need to be secure, we want to be receptive, emotionally in touch with ourselves. So if you are trying to engineer some new opportunities professionally, the one thing I would say to you is that do stay in touch with how things feel. You know, maybe you will be offered a huge opportunity, but it has to be one that you feel comfortable with the place that you work for you in terms of its location, with the people and the energy of that particular organization fit in with your ethos. Those are things to consider. Now, in your personal situation, you may have been shown a lot more leadership recently and directing or helping or supporting someone close to you. But finding that pivot point between what's right for you and what's right for them is just going to be something that requires some care this week. But having said that, with the retreating Mercury meeting the advancing Venus, and they come into a conjunction on Friday, charm will get you everywhere, Cancer. So if you are having an appointment professionally in your local community, it may be to discuss something that's been a bit stuck, that hasn't quite been flowing for you. But that's where Mercury retrogrades can be a good thing, if we can embrace them to revisit something and make some amends that are very valuable. Now obviously Jupiter and Uranus are inching closer together, ready for that big conjunction later this month. So just about 1 degree apart now. You may be feeling this energy quite strongly already. Essentially, it's very future orientated for you, but it's also to do with your connections to others. But it does feed back into goals and ambitions, the Aries energies, because essentially I feel Jupiter and Uranus want you to be able to exist in a way that does fit in with your values. So that's really, really important for you this week. Now, by Friday, the Sun joins up with Jupiter and Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Now, that's a very sociable transition, and if you have felt there has been a lot to deal with recently and perhaps a lot of big decisions to make, it's nice really to feel that there may be some lighter and more interactive moments ahead, and that is possible. But equally, because the Sun squares up to Pluto exactly for a few days, from around Thursday to the end of the week, if there is a friendship or an association you have that feels a bit controlling or a bit limiting or inhibiting, the politics of that situation may become more obvious to you. Or perhaps your own idealism may need to be tempered with the financial reality of a shared resources. You know, whether you're in a long-standing romantic alliance or a business relationship, or you've worked for a company a long time, if you are wanting to do something different and more radical, which is possible with Jupiter and Uranus in your 11th house, and Mars, as it goes on this week, starts to connect back to them in a really positive way, which can give you a lot of thrust that did at times last week seem a little bit out of reach because of the handbrake that Saturn had been applying to the more get-go energies of Mars. So there could be some big decisions to make towards the end of this week, but that combination between Mercury and Venus, and also with the North Node, suggests your communicational skills is really going to be an important part of how this week works out for you. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Cancer. Thank you so much for joining me. I would be grateful if you've yet to do so if you'd subscribe. We've found out that 55% of my viewers are not subscribers, so to help support the channel, we'd be most obliged if you'd click or tap that bell notification symbol.